Are you there, stream? I think we're streaming right now. Okay. Hang on for just a few moments. Oh, dude, I was muted. Okay, so welcome to the stream. I was sitting and talking about how yesterday um, we left off in the South Park game, and we were playing this weekend's event called Ladies First, and today we're gonna be continuing with that. And I'm sorry I just muted myself. I realized that was a little bit, uh, uncontrolled, or not on purpose. But it happens. And okay, so the other thing I was doing before over there, I was putting out lights for the Buddha. And so today, I was just now talking about that I want to actually get to read a little bit from the Digha Nikaya, um, because of Sin Cartman's, what he says when you play Sin Cartman. He says, reincarnation better be sweet, right? And okay, so I just yesterday made a quote, or I didn't actually make a quote, I just kind of made a statement on it, which turned into a quote. on why Buddhists don't actually believe in reincarnation. Um, and it has to do with coming to understand karma as it is, which in turn leaves belief in something or entity reincarnating from one state to another. It kind of puts that whole idea out of the picture through understanding. And so also I read the rules on Twitch today about what you can and what you cannot do, and you can actually read a book or in the right context if it has an educational value or it's part of a voice acting. And since our new kid doesn't actually have any voice and he's a monk, I think we should give him a voice, and I would like to do that. So just by that alone, I think we could go ahead and read a little bit. And so I could actually today get to read and get to play. And it seems like there's not much of a difference. And that's very nice, and it behooves me in this way. So to anyone watching out there, I hope you would enjoy just a few pages of reading from the teachings of the Buddha. The first book, the Digha Nikaya, over here. Let me see if I could put it. Okay, so I just do this. This one. This is the Digha Nikaya, and the other one is the Majjhima Nikaya. So let me just grab that one. And I think this is actually both relevant and interesting, both for the stream and the boys in South Park, since South Park is super religious, and they have the whole thing about not separating the sacred from the obscure, right? It's kind of without, and with respect to their intellectual property, of course. I would just like to, that's something noteworthy, I think. So by that, I think we could extend that line of thought. And also, I just got these books, and I don't actually want to just have them laying around forever. So let me just see. I got into this place called Levels of Truth, and I read ahead a little bit, and we're just gonna be getting right into towards a better understanding actually of the law of karma. And so we're going to be reading from the Digha Nikaya today, page 31, Levels of Truth. Oh, and check out this is my, what is this, bookmark? This is actually, it says Mangala Supina, which means a lucky dream. And why is it lucky? It's like, you can see that should represent an infinity symbol. I don't know if you could actually see through it if you don't have any light. Anyway, it's a funny bookmark. It's a nice bookmark. Okay, so a little bit of voice acting today for our new kid. And yeah, let me know in the chat if you can hear me and everything is alright. We're just gonna be reading a couple of pages and then we're gonna be playing. Okay. I'm really psyched about getting to read a little bit more today, since yesterday I was just playing all day, right? Okay, here we go. Levels of Truth. An important and often overlooked aspect of the Buddhist teaching concerns the levels of truth. Failure to appreciate, okay, wait a minute. Failure to appreciate which has led to many errors. See note 220. Very often, the Buddha talks in the suttas in terms of conventional or relative truth. Sammuti or Vuhara Satya in Pali, according to which people and things exist just as they appear to the naive understanding. Elsewhere, however, when addressing an audience capable of appreciating his meaning, he speaks in terms of ultimate truth, Paramatta Satya, according to which existence is a mere process of physical and mental phenomena, within which or beyond which no real ego entity, nor any abiding substance can ever be found. Buddhist dictionary under Paramatta. And also, the Paramatta Dhamma, which this read, the Paramatta Satya, the ultimate truth. So how do you get to see the ultimate truth of things as they are? Through studying and practicing insight on the Paramatta Dhamma, the ultimate Dhamma, or Dhamma could also be a reality actually. Dhamma could be translated as a reality. Okay. Continuing on. In the Abhidhamma, and the Abhidhamma is the higher Buddhist teachings, kind of like Buddhist psychology. In the Abhidhamma, the entire exposition is in terms of ultimate truth. It may also be observed that many Zen paradoxes and the like really owe their puzzling character to their being put in terms of ultimate and not of relative truth. The full understanding of ultimate truth can, of course, only be gained by profound insight. But it is possible to become increasingly aware of the distinction. There would seem, in fact, to be a close parallel in modern times and in the difference between our naive, how do you say naive worldview. Okay, so let me read that again. There would seem, in fact, to be a close parallel in modern times in the difference between our naive worldview and that of the physicists. Both points of view having their use. Next page. In their own sphere. Thus, conventionally speaking, or according to the naive worldview, there are solid objects, such as tables and chairs, whereas according to physics, the alleged solidity is seen to be an illusion, and whatever might turn out to be the ultimate nature of matter, it is certainly something very different from that which presents itself to our senses. However, when the physicist is off duty, he or she makes use of solid tables and chairs just like everyone else. In the same way, let me turn a little bit around. In the same way, all such expressions as I, self, and so on are always in accordance with conventional truth, and the Buddha never hesitated to use the word atta, the Pali word for self, and also with here we go. And also with plural meaning yourselves. So atta can also mean yourselves. In its conventional and plural meaning, Oh, wait a minute. Am I holding this page a little bit wrong? No, no, no. In its conventional and convenient sense. In fact, despite all that has been urged to the contrary, there is not the slightest evidence that he ever used it in any other sense except when critically quoting the views of others, as should clearly emerge from several of the suttas here translated. So we're actually in the introduction to this book. Still, in point or fact, it should be stressed that conventional truth is sometimes extremely important. The whole doctrine of karma and rebirth has its validity only in the realm of conventional truth. That is why, by liberating ourselves from the viewpoint of conventional truth, we cease to be subject to karmic law. And this means that we go beyond the conventional truth, beyond the reality of concepts, actually. In the same way that the physicists do not recognize the existence of the chairs, they still use them, but are not subject to the viewpoint of chair as being an ultimate truth or an existing thing, drawing back to the illusion of atta. Continuing on. Objections to the idea of rebirth in Buddhism, and notice that we don't actually use the word reincarnation, and this was kind of a point to Zen Cartman. It's used as rebirth. Anyway, that was just kind of to help Zen Cartman out as well on his journey. Could we pull this up? No, that's a little bit. That's too personal to the group members of the Middle Path. Okay. Objections to the idea of rebirth in Buddhism too are sometimes based on a misunderstanding of the nature of the two truths. As long as we are unenlightened worldlings, our minds habitually operate in terms of me and mine, even if in theory we know better. It is not until this tendency has been completely eradicated that full enlightenment can dawn. At Samyutta Nikaya 2289, the Venerable Khemaka, who is a non-returner, explains how the subtle remnant of the conceit of the I desire as an unextirpated lurking tendency to think I am still persists even at that advanced stage. Probably the best account of the Buddha's attitude to truth is given by Jayatileke in the Early Buddhist Theory of Knowledge, a book from 1963. It may be mentioned that for those who find this work hard-going, his second posthumous book, The Message of the Buddha, makes for easier reading. Jayatileke has been attacked for equating the philosophy of Buddhism too closely with the modern school of logical positivism. In this connection, it is perhaps best to let him speak for himself. Okay, and then we have quote. Here we go. letting... Now we're actually giving voice to this quote by the Venerable Jaya Tilake. Quote goes thus: "The Buddha, again, was the earliest thinker in his... was the earliest thinker in history to recognize the fact that language tends to distort in certain respects the nature of reality, and to stress the importance of not being misled by linguistic forms and conventions. In this respect, he foreshadowed the modern linguistic or analytical philosophers, the message of the Buddha." I guess that's page 33. It seems hard to find any fault with that. Jayatilleke goes on. He was the first to distinguish meaningless questions and assertions from meaningful ones. As in science, he recognized perceptions and inference as the twin sources of knowledge. But there was one difference. For perception, according to Buddhism, sanya, Pali for perception, I think, included extrasensory forms as well, such as telepathy, and clairvoyance. Science cannot ignore such phenomena, and today there are Soviet as well as Western scientists who have admitted the validity of extrasensory perception in the light of experimental evidence. Probably, most readers will concede the possibility that the Buddha knew a few things which modern science is only now beginning to discover or accept. We will leave it at that. Okay, and now we're getting to the final part. Coming back to the whole Dhamma of this understanding Karma as it is, and why Buddhists do not believe in rebirth. And I think that Zen Cartman should take up and heed this advice from the Buddha. Okay, page 33, the Digha Nikaya. Kamma. The Sanskrit form of this word, karma, K-A-R-M-A, which in Pali is K-A-M-M-A, is more familiar to Westerners, but as its meaning in non-Buddhist context is not necessarily always the same as in Buddhism, there is some advantage in using the Pali form of kamma here. The literal meaning of the word is action, and at Anguttara Nikaya, this is the fourth book, and this of the Buddhist teaching. It's called the Anguttara Nikaya, the Connected Discourses. Or is it the shorter? My Pali is lacking a little bit here, maybe. Anyway, and at the Anguttara Nikaya 6.63, the Buddha defines it as volition, cetana, or cetana. It is therefore any deliberate act, good or bad. In Pali, kusala, meaning skillful, wholesome, or akusala, meaning unskillful and unwholesome. A good act will normally lead to pleasant result for the doer, and a bad act to unpleasant. So, continuing, okay, ones. So they lead to pleasant or unpleasant results, ripening as feelings or thoughts, etc. Now we're getting into the real good stuff here. The correct Pali and Sanskrit word for such result is vipaka or vipaka, ripening, though kamma tends in practice to be used loosely for the results as well as the deeds that produce them, even sometimes by those who really know better. So often people misunderstand, um, you know, the result of karma as kamma. So they say that vipaka, the result of the action leading to the ripening of that action, is the kamma, but that's actually wrong. Kamma is the part that originates the later ripening of or the later results. So the result later on, be it good or bad, is not actually kamma. That is vipaka. That's nice to know. You could use that as well for your uh, investigations. The the questions is sometimes asked whether there is free will in Buddhism. The answer should be clear. Each karmic act is the exercise of a choice, good or bad. Thus, though our actions are limited by conditions, they are not totally determined. In this computerized age, it may be helpful to some to think of karma as programming our future. So you program for a later desired result or harvest. Thus, the karma formations, sankharas, mentioned below are the program which we have through ignorance made in past lives. So the reason that these karma formations or even misunderstandings have come about is because of our previous karma. Even in this life, like what we did last week, why are we here today? Or what we did last year, why are we here today? And even much, much further back than that. That's just a superficial explanation. As this points out, made in past lives. The aim of the practice, of course, is to get beyond all karma. An account of how to progress towards this aim is given in many suttas, and especially in the first division of the Digha Nikaya. Okay, so here we go. The 12 links of the chain of dependent origination. So if you understand this, you could actually become enlightened right now. Are you ready? This famous formulation is found in many places in the canon. And the canon is all of the Buddha's teaching, the Tipitaka. And is also represented visually in Tibetan tankas in the form of a 12-spoked wheel. The Pali term Paticca Samuppada with two P's is usually rendered dependent origination, though Edward Conze preferred conditioned co-production. It has been much debated by Western scholars, some of whom produced some strange theories on the subject. The usual formulation is as follows. 1. Okay, so now we're going to go 1 through 12. In the 12 links of the chain of dependent origination, to actually get to understand the law of karma, which not even gods and gods as well as men and women and of course ladies first, as we have with this weekend's event, they are subject to the law of karma. Even just us being here today, you being here listening, that is your own karma, possibly from previous lives as well. most certainly. Anyway, the 12 links as follows. 1. Ignorance conditions the karma formations, and in Pali, avijja paccaya sankhara. So 1. Ignorance as a cause for karma formations, sankharas. 2. The karma formations condition consciousness, sankhara paccaya vinyanang. So based on karma formations that comes from the original cause, which was ignorance, based on that arises consciousness. 3. Consciousness conditions mind and body, name and form. So mind and body actually is name and form. For us Westerners, we like to think of it as mind and body. Nama and Rupa, name and form. Vijnana paccaya nama rupang. And 4. Mind and body conditions the 6 sense bases. Nama rupa paccaya salayatanang. The 6 sense bases conditions contact. Salayatana paccaya passo. Contact, number 6. Contact conditions feeling. Passa paccaya vedana. And a characteristic of all feelings are either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Number 7. Feeling conditions craving. Vedana paccaya tanha. Number 8. Craving conditions clinging. Tanha paccaya upadanang. Number 9. Clinging conditions becoming. Upadana paccaya bhavo. Bhavo, that was with the B. And number 10. Becoming conditions birth. Bhava paccaya jati. And number 11. Birth conditions number 12, which is aging and death. So number 11 causes number 12, but they're written on the same line. You can see in the top of page 35, right hand. Jati paccaya jara maranang. So, continuing on here, this is best understood if taken in reverse order. And I think that's all we're going to be reading for today. So let me go through it in reverse, okay? Should I mention the Pali as well? Aging and death. Jati paccaya jara maranang. Birth conditions, aging and death. That's both 11 and 12, or 12, 11, 10. Becoming conditions birth. Bhava paccaya jati. 9. Clinging conditions becoming. Upadana paccaya bhavo. 8. Craving conditions clinging. Tanha paccaya upadanang. 7. Feeling conditions craving. Vedana paccaya tanha. Number 6. Contact conditions feeling. Passa paccaya vedana. Number 5. The 6 sense bases conditions contact. Salayatana paccaya passo. Mind and body conditions the 6 sense bases. Namarupa paccaya salayatanang. Number 3. Consciousness conditions mind and body. Vijnana paccaya nama rupang. Number 2. The karma formations conditions sankhara. Conditions consciousness. I was looking at this word, Sankara, Paccaya, Vinyanang. Ignorance conditions the karma formations. Avijja, Paccaya, Sankara. And that was back to number 1. Okay, so I think with that we have given Mr. Zen Cartman, or the yogi, not really the Mr. The yogi, Zen Cartman, we've given him some really solid advice from the teachings of the Buddha. And this is in Pali, it says Mangala Sapina, which means a lucky dream. We don't actually have to go on further than that, because I think we don't want to you know, be rude. So I just think that's important, and that could actually change your life if you understand that you are actually enlightened. Okay, so thank you so much for listening to a little bit of reading today, and now we could get to play and continue on developing the middle path in this reality of I guess South Park. And I would like to, on behalf of my new kid here, thank you to listening to me giving voice to the new kid. So cool, and let's get into some games, man. I feel like this is gonna be an epic day, full of nice games. And minimal salt, of course. Never be salty when you lose, because then someone else is winning, and that's also kind of nice if you think about it. Okay, so homage to the Buddha, and a great thank you for bringing about the arising of the Dhamma in the world, and also in this reality. And thank you to everyone who decides to join the middle path. Let's destroy some phones. Let's just crush them. Okay?